Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend just a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Ted Bannock, and I love talking about
Careful.
cards. I love talking about cards. That pun was gonna not be a pun, and just be something weird. And
yes, as the dad of daughters, please be careful.
Love talking about the waters of the Nimrodel.
Yes.
Boy, do we got a great we got a very refreshing episode for you.
Yes.
I would like to say, very refreshing episode. Similar to our past episodes, but also very different because today's card is different than the other cards.
Yeah, whatever Ted is saying, I don't know what he's saying. But before we get into the card, we will let you know how to get a hold of us, or keep Card Talk close. We have a blog, Matt Cat Attack 22, on a lot of the socials. He keeps track of all the cards and does a written card review every week to keep up with what we do at the blog. You can see us at cardtalk2018.com. If you want to get a hold of us by email, you can send us an email at cardtalk2018@gmail.com. And we have Micah, who does Second Breakfast roughly every other week on Sunday. He puts up a video playing through of scenarios with deck restrictions and all sorts of stuff. And lastly, if you want to support our show, keep the lights on here at the pod, or keep the keyboard clacking over at the blog, you can do that by joining us on Patreon at patreon.com/cardtalk2018. So Ted, which Magali Villeneuve card do we have today?
Today we have Daughter of the Nimrodel from the core set, who is a lore ally. So lore ally, Daughter of the Nimrodel, which this card reads as follows. It's got a 3 cost, 1 willpower, 0 attack, 0 defense, and that ever signature 1 hit point for a traded Sylvan ally that has the following action in their text box that says, action, exhaust Daughter of the Nimrodel to heal up to 2 damage on any one hero. Ta-da! So there's Slippery Dave. Do you partake in bathing in the waters of the Nimrodel?
I don't like this card.
Why not?
Well, it's expensive for not a lot. I think that this card would be much better off if it had 2 hit points and maybe an extra willpower. It would still be overcosted. This card is way overcosted. And again, in the core set, I think as the designers were trying to figure out, what's going on and how to cost like actions and stuff, I think that, this guy was like, oh, healing is going to be worth a lot. And so, the fact that it heals 2 damage on a hero, and it can do that every round, that's good for the core set, because there's not a ton of healing cards in the core set. There's a couple, but
and even in the scope of the entire card pool, there's not a ton of healing effects. Like, is there a decently long list now? Yes. Is there enough to fill a deck? Certainly, with all healing cards, but you're certainly right too. Healing in the core set, there's like 3 cards that did it
right
in the core set. This being one of them. I'm thinking the event that healed, and then the Laura Glorfindel had an ability, which was also crazy expensive.
Right. And then but there was self-preservation.
Oh, self-preservation. Okay,
right?
So there was another one.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and we actually went over a whole bunch of healing cards one time. Like we spent a stretch talking about all the different healing cards.
Right.
So, and the daughter of I don't know if it's Nimrodel or Nimrodel, but I guess it depends on which syllable you put your emphasis on. That's the teacher in me, everybody. But here's the thing. So very quickly, if you're a veteran player, this gets outshined by the Sylvan Tracker, which heals Sylvans when they get readied.
Ready, yeah.
They ready as soon as they ready during the refresh phase. It's not just when they ready. It's not always when they ready. So if you have unexpected courage, it doesn't work. It's only when they ready during the refresh phase. So if you're looking for ways to heal Sylvans, that happens. But then also you have kind of the hallmark of healing, which is the Warden of Healing, which is repeatable, and like you can spread that around and it costs way less. And then
I'd say Warden outshined this card and even Eorith to an extent.
Yeah, I mean, and so and it was cheap, repeatable heal. I don't know. So for the most part, I think that the Daughter of the Nimrodel is good for core set play, but is way overcosted. If this card cost 1, then I think that this card would make it into my Sylvan deck.
For sure. If it, I would a 2 would be fine too, because that would be on par with Warden of Healing. And Warden of Healing is a lower ally that costs 2, and you heal 2 different characters for 1 damage each. Right? That's repeatable too.
Right.
So
but then you can ready the Warden of Healing with a lore resource, and then you can do it again. Or 2 resources.
Right.
So this is not. That's what. And I know that this is the core set, so none of this was established. But if this costs 1, then you can trigger all of those 0-cost Sylvan events, and you can do those things. And that's helpful. But too expensive.
Yeah, it is expensive for a Sylvan ally. It doesn't really fit into the Sylvan archetype that you're familiar with, Dave. Well, it seems like many of the Sylvan core set characters did not fit into the later developed.
One that's really good in the core set, and that's Henemarth. Henemarth fits.
Oh, Henemarth's
very well. But
Henemarth's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean it's not bad if you do want to make this card better and you're working with a limited card pool. If you have the Sylvan starter deck, the Elves of Lorien starter deck that comes with Elrond is in there, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Elrond's a lore hero that has a response whenever a character is healed for any amount. Heal that character an additional 1. So if you couple this card with and that response too is unlimited, as many times per phase and per round as you want to with Elrond.
Right.
So
the healing has to come from someplace else.
Yes.
But Elrond can trigger his passive ability whenever
his response,
somebody is healed. Yeah,
his
response or whatever.
As many times as there's a healing ability or action. So if you couple this card with Elrond, you can do every turn a single heal for 3. Which that's much more potent, right? That seems to add a lot of value. Now, can you also still apply that to Warden of Healing?
Right.
And is it also good? Yeah, it's really good.
Right.
But
that's so and there's nothing specific that this does that healing cards don't do. So if you're talking about Elrond, Elrond makes every healer better.
Yes.
And then if you're looking for Sylvan healing, you want the Sylvan Tracker, because the Sylvan Tracker has better stats, more hit points for the same cost. It's a 1/1/1 with 3 hit points. It's in the same sphere. So it's so very quickly do you get overshadowed with other cards by the Daughter of the Nimrodel.
Yeah. I would even though the good part of this card is that it is repeatable. Like every turn you can exhaust to heal 2, 3 with Elrond's.
Right.
I still tend, if I'm playing lore and I want to have healing in my deck, I still tend to go with Warden of Healings. And if I want even more healing, I will include some other type of attachment or event, like Lembas Bread comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Which now that's only one time use to heal a character for 3 and then ready them for 1 cost. But still, I like to couple cards with that with something else like Warden of Healing to really get there. Now maybe again, if I'm talking about an exclusive, hey, I'm going to an event, I'm going to Count of the Rings, and I want to be the deck that heals things, I might put every single healing card in the game into one deck, and this then might make it in there.
Right.
But aside from that, yeah, Warden's a better choice. But it's not terrible if you're playing it with Elrond. I think if you were like, okay, hey, I can heal someone's hero for 3, especially if you have a character who's
like, well, that's another problem with this card, is that you're still only healing heroes.
True.
Like the Warden is not a hero. Eorith is not heroes. They're characters.
They can target characters.
Right. And yes. So, like I think that this card highlights how much the game expanded, where they didn't realize how far it was going to go. You know what I mean? Like, It's like, oh, okay. And I think that they overcosted at the beginning how much healing was going to be. If you're playing a game, there's very few archetypes where you want to purposely deal damage to things like Erkenbrand, maybe, or, you're playing Treebeard hero, so you're doing damage, but you're still not going to pick the daughter to do the heal. Like you're going to pick everything else. I mean,
yeah, probably. I'd say if you have a hero whose abilities to take damage, which you just named 2, you're probably going to.
Are there others that I'm missing that are specific, like do damage to?
Quick Beam, who's an Ent.
Quick Beam, right?
He also deals damage to himself to ready.
Right.
Those are the top 3 that come to mind.
Right.
Maybe we're missing one, but certainly those 3 for sure. And yeah, you tend to Treebeard's Insphere, and those other 2 are not. You tend to want to couple them with healing, and yeah, I tend to play something else, or believe it or if I have, what's really interesting though, this has the same healing power as self-preservation.
Right, for the same cost.
It's a self-preservation is a 3-cost attachment that goes on a hero and heals for 2.
Right.
And believe it or not, this is much more flexible because you can change the target. It's just subject to
archery, because the only time you're going to use this if you're not healing, which is going to be most of the game, is to quest. And so then all of a sudden you have Necromancer's Reach and you're, like...
Yeah. Sometimes you have to, discard allies from play, or you have a penalty for the number of allies you have in play. So this would count against that, but it's the same strength. So it's like, I think it's playable. Are there some better choices? There's certainly at least, I think, 2 that we named. Although Eorith has a continual cost. So after 3 times, but then you got more healing out of it. I don't know. Yeah, just play cards and have fun. Just heal if you want or don't. Let your characters die or whatever.
Play cards, have fun.
Yeah.
That's Ted speak for this card's not very good.
Yeah.
What about the art?
Yeah, it is. The art is pretty good. It's not Mogli's. I'd say it's not like her best work, only because she has a very high bar.
I know.
This is great to other core set
artwork, but it's not great Mogli Villanueva art.
Yeah, if you compare it to other art she's done, you're like, holy smokes, this is kind of on the bottom for her.
Right.
But it's still good. I get a very I still like it. You get this very elven-y
There's
type
something
feel.
weird about her right hand up in the air. Like the thumb is in a position, and then it only looks like there's 4 fingers. I don't know. The right hand really bothers me in this, but
Okay, well, thanks for pointing that out, because now I cannot unsee that. I was happy with this card art until you pointed that out. You always point out the weird stuff.
Well, I'm a weird guy. What do you expect? I don't know.
So yeah, but I like the lighting. She has kind of this like elf glow to her. She's got her foot in presumably the waters of the Nimrodel, which is known to be refreshing and have refreshing qualities, or
which is also a healing card, isn't it?
Yeah, we did a whole episode on waters of the Nimrodel.
Doomed 3 and 3 cost or something. No.
Yeah. And you guys check out that episode if you really want to hear us argue about healing cards. Yeah. So actually, so far the 3 cards that have Nimrodel in the title, which is a spirit one called like, none of them are really that great.
Right. The lay of the Nimrodel waters.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all kind of I don't know how to describe it, but they're all
they're all meh.
They're all kind of meh cards.
Should we ring this Nimrodel card?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, well, for anybody who doesn't know or may have forgotten, we have a highly scientific yet arbitrary system where we ring a card on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is the best card in the game, or the one card that rules them all, or 10, or a card, and all the way down to 10, where 10 is the card that we throw back into the fiery chasm from whence it came, or not a very good card in the game. So, Ted, here it is. Your chance.
I'm gonna give it a 6. Because it is a form of repeatable healing that virtually everyone's going to have access to. Do I tend to pick other cards? Yes. Will this go into my next iteration of a deck that needs healing with one of the heroes we mentioned? Or, in a scenario where you have heavy damage, which there are some scenarios that are like that you have high archery or you have high treachery cards, it can be beneficial to run this alongside the cards we mentioned, because you want as many options as you can get. You want to draw something, right, that will help you deal with that mechanic. So I give it a 6.
Boo! This card's a 9 to me.
This
card doesn't make it into any decks at all. Like it's healing, but pick anything else that healing herbs, like Lembas, self-preservation, like I don't know, like I know that self-preservation doesn't I don't know. I have used all of those cards, even the, like you said, the Warden and the Earth. Like I've used all those cards in decks. Never once have I returned to the core set to pick this card. Mm-hmm. So yes, it has a place, but it's not a very good place, and it doesn't go into the Sylvan deck. And I just can't give it a 10 because healing always is important. But yes, I can't. I just can't support the use of this card unless you are just a core set player only. So there you have it. 10 reasons why Ted is wrong and I'm right. And next week, you can join us again as we talk about more reasons, and probably next week I'll be wrong and Ted will be right. So have a great day, everybody.
Do you love the content? Here's what you can do to stay connected. Become a patron. The money collected through Patreon goes into keeping the lights on here at the podcast. We love our patrons, and you can join at many different levels. Visit patreon.com/cardtalk2018. You can subscribe to us, whether you're watching our YouTube channel or you're listening to us in your favorite podcatcher. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications of all our new episodes. Didn't know we were an audio podcast? Find us by searching Card Talk to get access to our 120 plus regular episodes. Didn't know we were a video channel? Find us by searching Card Talk LOTR LCG on YouTube And there you can find not only our regular episodes, but you can find our bonus playthroughs and other content related to the game. Want to get a hold of Ted, Grant, or myself? Feel free to email the podcast at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.